one woman was meditating and saw the water shimmer in the bowl of the little bowl of lotus flowers next to where she was meditating. JP, my partner, felt the house shake and thought it was me walking up and down. So the first I was aware that there was an earthquake was a couple of hours later, after I'd been for a swim and been for breakfast and went off to sit down at this meeting. So we wandered down there at around 10 o'clock, which was when the meeting was due to start, and someone then said, "Oh, did you feel the earthquake?" It was kind of like, yeah, and everyone just sort of meandered on and continued waiting for this meeting to start. Then we just heard this massive noise. And this explosion, for me it sounded like a plane crash. And we all just looked at each other and like, what was that? And then without anyone saying anything, we all just stood up and just ran to the beach where this noise was coming from. And when we got to the top of this little tiny rise and looked down at the beach, we could see that a wave had come and hit the top of the shore. And, this massive churning water sort of heading back out. And so there we were all kind of going, wow, have you ever heard of seen such a thing? That's amazing, because this water is flat. There is no surf in Thailand in December. So we all kind of were staring at each other going, what on earth is that all about? But it was this weird kind of feeling also of like, whoa, God, look, thank God we missed out on that drama. And then somebody looked out on the horizon and we could see on the horizon this kind of like this line of white water, like a cumulus cloud or something. It was just covering the horizon. And it was like this slow dawning realisation. This could not be anything else except a wave. Okay, if there's a wave that's breaking that far away when the water's that deep, then that doesn't make any sense. While I was doing this, having this sort of bizarre internal little dialogue with myself, other people around me were starting to, they were obviously displaying a little bit more intelligence than me and were just sort of jumping up and down and saying, okay, this is a big wave coming, let's run, let's get everyone off the beach. But not really. Not acting on it. It's very hard to explain. And so, for example, Michelle, who's one of the people who ran down the beach, and I've spoken to people who he spoke to, and he was very insistent that they must run now. He was pointing out the two places where there were high points. You can go there or you can go there. This one's closer, but go that one. Go now, leave everything, don't take anything with you, just go. So I started walking and thinking, I'll go up the hill, and started walking towards the bay beach. The water was gone from it. It was just empty. Empty. It was like empty. And it was probably a mile across, this huge amount of sea. And then I sort of wandered down to have a closer look and thought, I'll take a couple of photographs. So I pulled out my camera and took a couple of photographs, and there's a man standing next to me also doing the same thing, taking the photographs. And I said, David, don't you think we should go up the hill? And he said, oh yeah, we've got plenty of time, we can see it coming. And again, and these are the kind of things you can sort of kick yourself for later, I didn't say to him, you fool, what a dumb thing to say, follow me now. I just sort of went, oh, okay. And I think that in a way sums up pretty much, if I had to give one sentence that summed up the reaction that I saw and witnessed and also spoke to people about afterwards, what was a commonality, it was that attitude. We can see it coming, so we'll just watch it until we need to get out of the way, and then we'll move. It wasn't that we were all so naive to realise that we didn't have to get out of the way. We just thought, oh well, we can do it later. So it was like it captivated us in some kind of a spell where whatever anxiety we had could be deferred until later. So by the time the wave was very close, there was literally everybody was in the whole resort almost. People had come from the back and they'd come down from the houses, they'd come down from everywhere to line up along the beach just to watch it. People realised sort of at the last second, of course, that wasn't true and tried to outrun it. But as your excellent information says in this very museum, it's impossible to outrun a tsunami. So all of those people who waited until the last minute were caught up in the actual wave. And there's a series of photographs, and the first photograph has, shows the blurry back of a head looking out to the water and seeing the wave coming. And the second photograph shows the actual full group of people. And there's a third photograph 50 metres away, and all of those people are just frozen in place. But eventually I did start to sort of walk back towards the main beach, and as I did, I just found myself close to this peninsula, this rocky peninsula, and then there was one family of people behind me. They were much more panicked than I was, so I then infected their panic. And as I started to climb this mountain, this sort of hill, it was about 20 metres high, I found myself starting to really worry that I was going to be responsible for them not making it up. So I started to climb harder, and that, I think, finally kicked the adrenaline in. And also at the same time as I got about sort of halfway up this hill, and that the wave actually did hit. It actually come over the beach and breach the dunes and come down. I have no recollection of the sound, but it must have just been ear-splitting, because it was just so much force just hitting all at once. By the time I got to the top of the hill, all I could see was just water, just where there had once been the beach and the houses and the people standing there. So I kept running up and down saying, "What are we going to do? What 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 are we going to do?" And they were all ignoring me, so that it would make me say that louder and louder. And then finally someone said, "There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do." So eventually I just had to sit and watch. It wasn't like a wave and then the wave goes and then another wave and then the wave goes and then another wave and then the wave goes. But nor was it just one whoosh of water and then out again. It was sort of like something in between that. It was like a kind of one hit, and then immediately after it was another one, then immediately after was another one, immediately after was another one. So it was sort of like bang, 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 bang. Most of the people who died there died in the mangrove creek. They were carried there in the water and then held under by the roots of the mangrove trees, unable to free themselves. Once the water had subsided, someone came up and said to me, and I'd seen the yoga salar like just be picked up and just gone. And I said, "Oh, the yoga salar's gone." And she said, "Everything's gone." And it just seemed to never stop. It never felt like there was never going to be a point where it just stopped. And then it did. After a time, people started floating past us, and there was this child on this kind of makeshift raft, and he was just screaming. It was like he was screaming for all of us. And we couldn't do anything. We couldn't get to him. We couldn't, get him to us. So it was sort of 24 hours by the time we came out of there. But people were so frazzled and so... They were like walking zombies, But all this crazy stuff happened. And I guess it's like we all get so intrigued and captivated by something that we've never seen before. It's almost impossible to not want to watch, because it's so magnificent. The head of the meteorology department in Thailand said that he thought that Thailand was at risk of a tsunami if there was a big earthquake in the Indian Ocean. Well, he was sacked because it would put off tourists to come to Thailand to say something like that. So that was their level of preparation, complete and utter denial. He was reinstated a few days after the tsunami. Save yourself, and if you can help other people, by all means. But don't wait for someone else to come along and say, hey, time to run, because they just might not do that.